Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Washington State Retirement Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Ethan Meikle. On this podcast, we talk all about your Washington State retirement benefits so you get a better understanding of how everything works. So hopefully you can retire earlier, pay less in taxes, and spend more free time with your loved ones. In today's episode, we're continuing our conversation on 403B plans, and we're going to be talking about the two different types of 403B plans that exist. And yes, you heard that right. There are two different types of 403B plans. However, they both go by the name 403B. School districts will often label them as TSAs or 403Bs on their forms, and there's really no good for sure way of knowing what type of plan you have unless you know what company is with and what you signed up for to begin with. So today I'm going to give you guys the insight and the breakdown between both of them so you can kind of self-diagnose what type of plan you might be in, what are the pros and cons of each one, and you get a better sense of should you stick with that plan or should you seek a different type of 403B plan that is out there. I also put a link to our 5 questions you need to ask before starting a 403B plan in the show notes. So make sure you go ahead and download a copy of that so you can be well equipped to know what to ask and what to look for when interviewing different financial planners when starting your own 403B account. Now, if you're a DIY person, you want to do your own investing, then we actually do have a service that gives you guys the advice no matter what 403B company you are with. So currently we have Aspire, Fidelity, and Vanguard, which are the big 3 currently in the system. So if you have your 403B with any one of those providers and you're like, hey, I would like some advice to know exactly what I should be investing in so don't take on too much risk and when I should be making changes, I've got you guys covered. That service is currently open. You can go ahead and sign up using the link in the show notes below. You can also head over to our website, WashingtonTERSPERS.com, and there'll be a link to learn more and sign up on there as well for that service. All right, let's roll on with the two types of 403B plans. All right, so the two types of 403B plans available are the 403B or TSA plans, and you have the 403B7 plans. And there's a really big difference between the two, and it can get even more confusing because sometimes the school district will label a 403B7 plan as a TSA. So let's just quickly break down how to identify which one you have. So the first type of 403B plan there is are ones known as TSAs or tax shelter annuity. So these are annuity-based 403B plans, and they are issued by life insurance companies. So they work just like any other account, but a couple of key differences here is because it's annuity-based, these things have surrender charges attached to them. So what that means is when you put money into them, that money has to stay there for a period of time. Whether it's 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years, it's going to depend on the company you selected. And if you were to take that money out or move it to a different company before that time period was up, you're going to be hit with an extra penalty. So it's kind of a sticky situation, and that's why it may cost you extra money to try to leave that company. Now, the other thing with this is those same surrender charges operate often on a rolling basis. So what that means is every time you add new money into the plan, it's going to start a new 10 or 15 year, whatever your surrender charge period is. So if I put in $100 this month, that money has to stay there, say, for 10 years. Next month I put in another $100, that month's contribution has to stay in there for another 10 years, and so on and so forth. So it just keeps on rolling and rolling and rolling. So it can take quite some time to be able to get all your money out without paying these kind of penalties. Now, the other thing to know about these plans is typically the fees in these are often higher. Because they're annuity-based plans, you have to pay something called an M&E fee, or mortality expense charge, and oftentimes they're going to be set from 1 to 1.2, even 1.5%, just as like an administrative charge. The other thing to know is when it comes to the investment selection of these plans, they're very limited, often less than 100 funds to choose from. May seem like a lot, but often they're not going to be the best funds available for those categories. And most times they're going to be operated by the life insurance company you bought the 403B from. So it's going to be that company's own mutual funds. So when you pay them a fee for those investment funds, it actually goes back to the company. So you paid them the original M&E or administrative fee plus the investment fees all go to that company. So you can see it's a real moneymaker for them. So with these plans, because they have that short list, you may not be getting the best deal there. And oftentimes the fees are going to be pretty high as well, often 1% or higher for those plans. So in total, we see these plans running anywhere from 2 to 3% on average in total fees. So it can really eat away at your future growth potential. Now, because these are annuity plans, they pay commissions out to the advisors that sell them. So that's why oftentimes when you have people knocking on your door Can they actually work for one of those life insurance companies and they're going to put you into this model is because they have to, feed their family and it gives them the quickest payout. And I'll even admit it, that's how I got my start in the industry, was working for a company and doing exactly that. However, once I realized what the other options were and the errors in my way, that's why I left to become independent. So now I do things totally different and actually utilize the other 403b option that I'm about to tell you about now. So the 403b-7 is an investment-based 403b plan. So there are no commission payouts. I put money in every single month. If I wanted to switch providers of that 403b plan, you can do so with no kind of penalties at all. If I want to pull some money out because I'm retired, I want to spend the money, also no penalties at all. So you totally avoid that whole surrender penalty thing. And because there's no commissions, you just pay the advisor that fixed rate. Oftentimes it's 1 to 1.5% depending on the institution that they work for or what they're going to charge you. So it's just an ongoing fee, you know exactly what it is. And there's not any kind of big incentive for them to put you in that particular one or any kind of particular company because they all pay the same. He's charging the same percentage no matter what company you select. So because just like here at Scenic, we're independent, I really don't care what provider you choose from because I charge the same fee no matter where you go. Unlike where the TSA plans, where they have those commission-based ones, oftentimes you'll see people leading you into their own company's plans or ones with the highest payouts. So the bottom line here, if you're going to use a 403b plan, make sure it's one that's a 403b-7, that's not paying out commissions, that's not going to have any kind of surrender charges, that you can take your money out anytime you want to without incurring any kind of fees. Also with this type of plan is when it comes to the investment selection, you have such a bigger range of what you can choose from. Literally tens of thousands of funds that are available to you because there's no restrictions or no annuity company telling you what they can and can't use. Also, it allows you to use cheaper funds. So if you want to use a Vanguard fund charging you 0.05%, you can do that on this side here. You can't find that over on the TSA side. So when it comes to the fees here, you're going to pay an advisor. Oftentimes it's about 1%. You're going to pay the investment you want to choose. So say if it's like Vanguard charging 0.05, and then there's always going to be an administrative cost for the company we select, and usually it's not too high. So all in, we try to keep things under 2%, oftentimes 1.5% or less. And the more money you have in the plan, oftentimes the cheaper we can get those fees down to. So you can see there's a very big difference in the type of 403b plan you have going for you. So if you already have a 403b plan and you're like, oh man, I already have one of those TSA plans, how do I get out of it? It's very simple. All you do is stop putting money into that plan, start up a new 403b plan because there's no limit on how many plans you can have, and just simply shift the funding over to there. And if there actually is any money here that's out of surrender, so there's not going to be any penalty if you transfer it, you can go ahead and do that and take that money and put in that new account there and save yourself a lot of money and fees in the long run. If you haven't started one yet, then you can actually start one up anytime you want to. Now it's important to remember that there's only a few providers that offer the 403b option, and unless you know what you're doing or which one to select, it's going to be hard to sniff them out. It's also important to know that many people that work for other institutions often don't use this type of plan because it cuts into their paycheck, but also because their company doesn't allow them to do so, or if they do, they have to charge a higher fee. The company dictates the fee, not the advisor in that case. So as far as what 403b companies should you be using or which are the best ones out there, I'll give you guys my top 5. So number 1 would probably have to be Aspire. This company I really like just because they don't have their own funds. So with Aspire, there's literally 10,000 funds you can choose from. You have pretty much all of the Vanguard funds available. In fact, you actually have more Vanguard options with Aspire than you did if you just went to Vanguard directly. You also have all of Fidelity. There's BlackRock, American funds, so many different types of mutual fund providers out there inside of Aspire. So that's probably my preferred vendor. And that's, if someone comes to me and says, hey, can you help me start a 403b plan? If I see Aspire's available in their district, that's where I'm going to go 10 out of 10 times. Now, the next best option out there is going to be someone like Vanguard or Fidelity. I really don't have a preference between the two. They have their own mutual funds, so when you sign up with them, you're probably going to get their mutual funds. You can't sign up with Vanguard and ask for Fidelity funds or anything like that. You're stuck with just Vanguard funds. So nothing wrong with that. Just know that if you wanted something that was offered by a different company, you really can't get it. Most of these companies are going to offer the same type of investment models. The fees might be a little bit different between them. But if you want more diversity, that's why I usually go with Aspire. Now, two other options you could use is one's called security benefit. Now, be careful with security benefit because they do have annuity-based models and the mutual fund-based models. So it depends on the advisor you talk to and which one they steer you into. They do offer both. I would also recommend staying on, of course, the 403b7 side, the one that's liquid and you're able to move around whenever you want to. Now, security benefit does have a number of different funds out there. They don't have their own mutual funds, so you can kind of use different ones there. They do offer Vanguard. However, they do add an extra admin charge to make more money off of it. So while you might end up with a 0.05 Vanguard fund, security benefit tax on an additional 0.45% on top of those funds. And they do that for a couple other providers, different other mutual fund companies as well. So security benefit, while it's not a bad option, it's one that I would probably pick behind Aspire, Vanguard, or Fidelity. Now, another one you could consider is one called Orion 403b plan. They're not that widely known, but they do have a decent 403b plan options. So they have many different mutual funds to choose from, things like that. But I have had some success using them in the past. Now, they're not the only ones that are out there. Of course, you have ones like Franklin Templeton, Invesco. Those are also mutual fund-based plans. Oppenheimer's another one. The reason I'm not real big fans of these guys is, again, they own and operate their own mutual funds. So typically you're limited to just using Oppenheimer funds or just Invesco funds. And these mutual funds, they actually have a pretty good fee on them. So they're a lot higher than what you'd find at Aspire, Fidelity, or Vanguard. So I just if I'm going to get locked into a mutual fund company, I want it to be a lower cost option. I don't see the point of saying no to Vanguard and saying yes to, American funds or something like that only offers their mutual funds and charge, 5 or 6 times more in fees for no real other benefit other than you're stuck with them and that's what they offer. Now, if you're trying to figure out, what type of plan you currently have, chances are if the advisor that you signed up for, or if the account is with a life insurance company, 9 out of 10 times it's going to be a tax shelter annuity 403b plan. So the biggest ones out there you're going to run into are Equitable VALIC, which actually stands for Variable Annuity Life Insurance Company. They actually rebranded to AIG Advisors for a little while. I think now they're known as Corebridge. They keep changing their name. Other ones you might run into are, American Fidelity, Horace Mann, Voya will be another one. If your 403b account is with any of those providers, you can pretty much bank on it is a TSA account. So with all that out of the way, hopefully that gives you guys insight so you can figure out what type of 403b plans that are out there, the differences between the two, so you make the right choice for you. Now, if you're interested in managing your own 403b account so you can save on fees and just have more control over your retirement accounts, but you're unsure of what you should be investing in or just confused by it all, or maybe it's something you're thinking about doing, but you just don't have the education or really the trust to know that you're doing the right thing for you, we actually have a service for you guys. So it's our quick and easy and streamlined DOI investing solution. So essentially you log in, you'll let us know what plan you guys need help on, and we'll give you guys a set of different portfolios to choose from. And then once you guys decide on which type of risk you want to take, you're instantly given the investment recommendations. Now with those recommendations, all you gotta do now is log into your 403b account provider and then place the trades. Now, if you're not sure how to place trades, that's something that we can help you with. We can walk you guys through as well. Now, once you get the hang of it, it only takes maybe 10 minutes every 3 months to rebalance your portfolio and you're on your way. Now, that's a wrap on today's episode. Be sure to tune in next week where we dive into more of your retirement benefits as a Washington State employee. And always remember that your future depends on what you do today. All right, before I sign off, just a real quick legal disclosure that we're required to say as licensed fiduciary advisors. So remember that this is a podcast. It is designed for educational and entertainment purposes only. I don't know you personally, therefore I cannot give you any personal advice. So please don't take anything that we say on the show as being personal, financial, legal, or tax advice. If you want that kind of stuff, make sure you seek out a professional so they can help you with the strategies and investments that are right for you. Also, please remember that despite the name of our show, we are in no way associated with Washington State, or the Department of Guidance Systems or any other Washington employer. We're a private-owned firm that specializes in working with Washington state employees, which is why we know so much about this stuff. So remember, we don't work for the state in any way, shape, or form, so please don't confuse us as being an official representative of the state. All right, that's it for the legal stuff. I'll catch you guys all next time.